A woman loses her baby after a horrifying nightmare. Her husband is very distraught, but his character is called into question by Mulder,
who suspects something paranormal, even demonic, in his background.
This is not happening.
There's nothing like a good demon man trying to have a family, Andrew.
There's nothing wrong
Nothing wrong with that.
Honestly.
I
mean, it's very wholesome.
It is a very wholesome story. I think Mulder's all
I'm really
wrong
not sure
here.
the message. I'm really not sure the message they're trying to give us in this episode. Demons are people too.
Demons are people too. And you just gotta sacrifice as many demon babies as you can to have your perfect child.
Yeah. You don't want one of those getting loose because it's like gremlins after that.
God. It's Nuthouse, but thank you for joining us, ladies and gentlemen. This is Not Happening, another X-Files podcast. I'm your host, Mike. With me, of course, my good friend, Andrew. Andrew, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I'm doing very well, Mike. Although we are in the middle of winter right now where I am. I don't know if it's as cold where you are right now, but
it's a little chilly.
I could do with a little bit of hellish heat right now.
Yeah.
Because boy, deep freeze.
Well, we had some freezing rain overnight last night, so I woke up early to scrape my car because there was inch of ice on it. So good time.
Where you live, you must have snow removal gear and services and such. But did you have to remove it with a credit card or something, or do you actually have a good ice scraper?
No, I do have a good ice scraper that I used today. But it still took at least 5 minutes to do a little hole in my windshield. So that was fun.
Have you ever, and this has occurred to me in the past, and I wonder if this would be worth it. I challenge our listeners to chime in on this too. If you put a blanket on top of your windshield, pre-snow, freezing rain, inclement weather, could you just whip it off in the morning and, you'd be fine? Or do you think there'd be something bad?
Sounds easy enough. Something tells me it would either freeze to the car or I don't know, honestly. That would be quite the experiment. I will let you know.
Excellent.
The next time we have a huge snowfall or ice rain. I think
we should definitely look into that as a thing. It's either that
listeners, if you drive down the road and you see blankets on cars, you know where we live.
It's either that or actually, create a shelter for your car, which I am more and more, as I get older, I'm more and more inclined to do because, boy, it's just not fun doing the freezing rain off the car.
It's not, man. It's not. And you people who live in warm area, South, Bahamas even, you're really missing out. You haven't lived until you've scraped ice off your car in freezing weather. So
you haven't lived until trees have fallen over due to their weight of ice on all the branches and such.
Yes. What do you say we warm up in the snuggly fires of hell?
I am so into that. Let us do it.
All right, perfect. Because where we're going, there's a lot of demons. A lot of demons and a lot of fire.
A lot of fire.
We go to Hollins, Virginia. Laura and Wayne Weinsider are at the doctor's office. She's pregnant. With a delicate tone, the doctor relays some quasi-alarming information. Sonograms are not an exact science, and what they're seeing they can't definitively explain. There's some confusion as to what they're looking at, but the doctor elaborates that there are bony formations on the upper vertebrae and the plates of the skull. Wayne is seemingly bothered by this, and more so than Laura, who tries to console him, calling him sweetness. Later that night, they get ready for bed. Wayne brings her a glass of milk so she can take her pill. Turning off the light, they snuggle up together, his hand caressing her stomach. He loves her no matter what, he says, and for the second time, a term of endearment is used. Poopy-doo. They roll away from each other and drift off to sleep, camera closing in on her face. Mark Snow's gentle and beautiful music sustains, comforting, and then after a lingering moment, the tone changes. Laura's face is smeared with glowing orange light, the sound of flames swooshing in the room. She is jolted awake. At the foot of her bed, she sees a demonic humanoid figure standing in a sea of flames. His eyes glow an inhuman red as he rips the comforter off the bed. She cries for help from her husband, but he isn't in bed. The demon grabs her ankles and pulls her to the foot. She tries to fight him off as he digs at her. With all her strength, she lifts herself to him and bites his shoulder as hard as she can, but he pushes her back down. The demon then raises the baby in its hands. We can see small horns on its head as he lifts the baby into the sky, screaming. Laura's yelling. The room is very much calm and dark. No demon baby. Wayne wakes up. He turns on the light and wakes his wife. It was all a nightmare. His concern for her is apparent as she tells him about her experience and how awful it was. He does his best to soothe her and calm her down. As the dust settles, they lay together and he puts his hand on her stomach. Something's wrong, though. He lifts it. It's bloody. He whips the blanket off in a flurry to see blood-soaked sheets. They're both horrified, and Laura screams. Credits.
Wow.
Oh,
If you
that's
were
quite the opening.
If you were pregnant at this time in your life and you saw this episode,
Nightmares.
that'd be a pretty rough one, I think.
Yeah, that's pretty visceral.
It is pretty visceral. I mean,
obviously, everyone's greatest fear. You know?
I think on the list of pregnancy fears, it doesn't rank pretty high, but no, it's up there.
I've heard this story countless times from pregnant women. This is my biggest fear.
Let us address the elephant in the room.
Yes.
That's Bruce Campbell right there.
Yeah.
I mean,
excellent.
That's a big deal.
Big deal. Nice guest acting. I'm sure he was on break from Jack of All Trades or something, that wonderful TV show.
But you're close. That happens later.
Briscoe?
Yeah, it was Briscoe County Jr.
Yeah.
And they launched it at the same time as the X-Files launched.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
And so Campbell, Duchovny, Gillian Anderson, they did the press circuits together to pump up their show at the time. And Fox thought that Briscoe County Jr. was going to be the show and that X-Files was the other show.
Yeah.
And as we all know, well, maybe we don't all know.
Not the case.
That was not the case. I think they had one season out of Briscoe County Jr.
Yeah, Briscoe did not last long, but
yeah.
Still enjoyable because Bruce Campbell is always a lovely, lovely actor.
Well, and apparently he's a great guy. Like they all got along like a house on fire during the filming of this episode with Campbell and Duchovny playing pranks on the crew members and entertaining themselves to no end until they stopped it when the crew members started getting upset.
All right, that's enough.
That is enough.
Everything's a joke with you two.
Yeah, that's Chris Carter.
We're trying to record a TV show.
But did you know that Bruce Campbell was considered for the role of John Doggett?
Was he?
He was in the short
I
list.
did not know that. Yeah. That would have been interesting.
But he couldn't because of Jack of All Trades.
Oh, well, that sucks. I mean, I'm happy and I'm not happy because I love Bruce Campbell. I think he would have done a good job. But I also love Robert Patrick, and he did do a good job. So. I
think it would have been all right. As you know, lately with season 6, I've kind of up to here with these comic episodes. I don't dislike them, but what I really miss, and of course I'm going to have more to say about this in final thoughts, but I'm missing the serious streak that the X-Files sort of used to run with, and now we've got literally like 8 episodes straight of comic. Yeah. I think if they had put Bruce Campbell in as John Doggett, he would have been super jokey. Like I think it's hard for him to do straight. He does it well in this episode, but that's how he's perceived. And John Doggett's a Mulder stand-in, so I would not see them resisting the urge to give him the quips that Mulder used to have. Right.
Yeah. And I think Bruce Campbell knows the type of actor he is. He painted himself into that corner pretty early on. Nothing wrong with that. I think he does a great job with every role he's given. But yeah, I think if he had landed the role of Doggett, there would be many more one-liners and in a much lighter tone, I think, despite their best efforts. So.
And the word boomstick would show up in at least one episode.
Boomstick. Yes.
But before you launch in, it's also worth noting that this is written by a guy named David Amann. And this is a former line producer or a supervising producer or something. This is his first script. It's like the fourth or fifth of his spec scripts that he has sent to Chris Carter. Finally gets the nod. And he's going to go on to become a regular contributor to the series.
Excellent. Yeah. Well, as for the intro, I think it's pretty good. I think it's pretty solid.
Yeah.
You get a lot there. They get a lot forward with not a whole lot of dialogue. I think it's exciting and definitely leaves you hanging. So
I got nothing bad to say about about the opening so far. It's totally in line. I mean, as soon as I saw the demon, I thought, okay, we're going to go into a little bit of theology, that, and it's not a religious episode, but it's kind of close if we've got a demonic entity stealing a baby.
Nothing demonic about that. Nothing religious.
It's probably just a gremlin come up for the floor.
Yeah. Nothing crazy. Well, we go now to the FBI headquarters. Archie Stevens is giving the information to Agent Spender in his office. He doesn't know where to turn. It's an unusual case.
He's the sheriff, right? He's the sheriff of the town that they live in?
Deputy, I think.
Oh, he's just a deputy? Okay. But he's the sister
I think so.
of the lady.
Yes. He is the brother of her. He is not the sister.
Are you sure? Because, I didn't check the pronouns.
That's true. I am aggressively gendering him at this moment.
Fair enough.
Okay. Well, they don't have any experience with cases like these. They're just a small town. Laura's vivid recollection of what happened, well, he just had to take her word about it. Spender assures him he's come to the right place and that he'll put it in their priority caseload. The deputy leaves the office with a smile. Spender reviews the document, and after sufficient time has passed, he leans back and slips it into the shredder. What a bastard.
I
bastard.
love this, though.
Oh, yeah.
It is what we have come to think Spender is doing with the X-Files writ large. It's basically perfect.
Yeah. In Hollins, Virginia, sometime later, the deputy arrives at the Winesider residence in his squad car. He's shocked the FBI acted so swiftly in this case. His passenger is then revealed to be holding the shredded document crudely taped together, and then is revealed to be Mulder. Mulder asks him to keep his involvement secret. The FBI doesn't like these cases broadcasted. Steven says he'd still like to thank Spender, but Mulder says he'll thank him with his progress reports. Inside the house, Laura is reliving the moment for Mulder. She called it a nightmare, but how many of those come true? Mulder consoles her as best he can as Wayne sits and holds her. She mentioned a fire, a devil at her legs. Her baby wasn't normal. She calls it a monster, and Wayne tears up. She asks to be excused, leaving the men together. Wayne commends his wife for her resiliency, but he knows she's suffering. Mulder then asks if he was in bed the whole time. He says he was, and he woke her up. Mulder keys in on the fact she stated she reached for him, but he wasn't there. Wayne furrows his brow a bit. Well, it was a dream. And then Mulder asks to use the phone. So he's wasting no time.
Oh, he's already figured it out.
Yeah, he's already figured it out. He knows what exactly is going on here.
Yeah, he knows how special an actor Bruce Campbell is. You don't waste him. So clearly.
You must be the bad guy because I've seen your shows.
I've seen your work. Nothing simple about it.
Our paths crossing is no mistake.
I've seen you at various press junkets. So just for me to catch up on the plot, the baby essentially went missing, right? Like it's not like it was a massive miscarriage.
Yeah. No. She didn't see the baby. It has vanished. But because of her dream, she's obviously deeply concerned.
I'm going to just thumb the page, like fold over the page top so that I can twig on this later. I'm not going to do it now.
I should have smelled this.
You should have smelled this from a mile away. But yes, I just want to highlight this particular plot element now for future reference.
All right. Well, we go from here to Scully in an uncomfortably narrow office at the U.S. Department of Agriculture. It's lined with filing cabinets. She's reminding her interviewee that it is best to be truthful in every statement. The man is pretty disheveled, long curly hair, a scruffy beard, and a weathered face. Not the typical FBI candidate, or government official for that matter. She asks him if he does, or has he ever smoked marijuana. With a calm confidence, he says no, nor has he ever consorted with anyone who has. His stutter-step answers, no sirree, I really don't think so, leaves Scully and the viewers extremely skeptical. Before she can press further, her phone rings. It's Mulder. She asks the interviewee to step out for a moment. She's none too happy with Mulder, Andrew. She waited 45 minutes for him, and he's a no-show. He asks her to keep an open mind. In a quick cut of time, she tells him this isn't an X-file. He says, call it what you want, but here in Roanoke, it's demon baby snatching. He asks her to look at Laura's charts. She protests that that's not their job. They're supposed to be doing background checks. After some bickering back and forth, he ends the call. This is classic demon fetal harvest, Adam Nocturnum, impregnation of an unwitting female by a dark lord of the underworld. Mm-hmm. Scully helps fill in the blanks in her monotone voice. I can't believe we're talking about this. The camera cues to a baby monitor that happens to be picking up Mulder's conversation. It's the wine-cider's bedroom. Wayne listens in ominously.
Well, there's something afoot here. That Wayne doesn't smell right. Him listening in to a conversation.
Well, it's really Mulder's fault. He didn't check. Although I have to wonder why there's a baby monitor and why is it on when there was never a baby. I mean, I can imagine having it.
Oh, yeah, but no, it's
having the monitor ready to go.
We're talking months after, right? Like, it's not like this snatching happened recently.
No. This would be pretty quick.
Oh, yeah? But she's walking around pretty fine.
Well, that's one of my complaints with the episode. She's getting around just fine.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you have a complaint with this episode?
I do. There are a couple.
Okay, well, that's good.
I am under the impression this is pretty quick because, I mean, she was huge. She was very pregnant, so yeah. I don't think she'd get far without people noticing she doesn't have a baby anymore.
It's true. I mean, she cleaned up the blood at least.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, we're on the same page. He's up to no good. He's listening in on conversations. You know, he wasn't in bed when she thinks he was. There's definitely something up with this fellow.
Yeah.
Bruce Campbell.
In a slow crossfade, we now go to nighttime at the house. The dense yard of trees and branches crisscross in the foggy moonlight, the orange glow of the upstairs bedroom behind. Once again, they're getting ready for bed. Laura comes out of the bathroom to find Wayne, but he's nowhere. She goes to a few rooms and then downstairs. The house is dark and quiet. Outside, deep in the yard, the camera pans across the yard to a large incinerator. Wayne's feet milling about piles of leaves. She sees him from the window. We then see him on his knees, digging at the leaves to reveal a small bundle, a bloody sheet wrapped tightly. He snatches it up and darts out of the frame. Laura heads outside into the night. As she approaches the incinerator, she has a great look of concern. She stares into the roaring fire of it and peers in, convinced she's seen something unusual. She is startled when Wayne appears behind her. She asks what he's doing, and he says he's cleaning up the yard like she asked. When she questions why he's doing so in the middle of the night, he says he wanted everything to be perfect when she woke up. Besides, it was in the job jar. He coaxes her back to bed after assuaging her unpleasant concerns. She leaves, and he turns towards the fire. Tears begin to stream down his face as he gazes at the flames. He blinks, and his eyes turn to an inhuman iris as he sobs.
Okay, so there's something wrong with him.
There's something very wrong. He's got to get those eyes checked.
Yeah, and well, I was referring more to the fact that he's crying, and he's a man in 1990.
Oh, well, that too, yeah. Unacceptable.
What are you even doing? Interesting twist, the crying, because that is not what you expected at this moment. Like, you knew something was up with this guy. Mm-hmm. And this, of course, is the scene where we realize that he is complicit.
He's guilty of something.
Oh, yeah. But the crying was a really nice touch.
Absolutely.
Did you know anything about this this tiny skeleton model? Did you do any research on the props?
I didn't do anything on the tiny skeleton. What's going on?
What did
Inform us?
Okay. It was done by their props department. They originally thought they would rent a baby skeleton, but they decided not to spend $3,998 to do that. So they built their own out of a normal skeleton, and they just left out some bones, and it looks pretty good.
Yeah, pretty good.
Yep.
All the things you can do when you put your mind to it.
When you decide to be cheap, sometimes it works.
When you
out.
decide to be cheap. Well, the skeleton's rickety. I know they cut some corners there. So
A little bit, yeah.
The next morning, Mulder is seen to be parked outside the Weinsider's home, sleeping in a fully reclined front seat of his sedan. His phone rings and he wakes up. She thinks she's onto something.
What did you find?
Well, the prenatal birth defects that you spoke of, they're all here, but they're subtle.
Describe them to me.
Well, they look to be discrete bony deformities. There are spurs on the superior aspect of the scapula and small protuberances on the skull adjacent to the coronal suture.
Protuberances? You mean like horns?
Well, they could be recessive characteristics expressed as vestiges of primitive morphology, or developmental anomaly like craniosynostosis.
Do you think this is something that could be passed along by the father?
No, I wouldn't look to the father as any kind of dark force here, Mulder. I think it's the mother. And Virginia law on third trimester abortions requires you to put her under arrest.
What are you talking about?
Labor was induced, Mulder. In the mother's blood, there was found a significant trace of an herb called mandrake. It's a poison that's been known to facilitate self-abortion.
Mandrake?
It's also been known to be used as an hallucinogenic.
You think Mrs. Weinsider self-prescribed?
Well, I called the doctor on a hunch, and he said that the father was very upset about the news, while the mother was quite the opposite. Look, Mulder, I'm going to fax this information to you so that you can present it to the Commonwealth Attorney for the County of Roanoke. But I think we have your baby snatcher here. Mulder?
Yeah. What? Yes.
I suggest that you proceed very carefully. This could be very emotional for everybody concerned.
All right, thank you.
Mulder has a photo of the couple and playfully pens horns atop Wayne's head as they discuss. During the conversation, Wayne leaves the house for the day in his red convertible, locking suspicious eyes with Mulder as he turns onto the road. That doctor is stirring up trouble, Andrew.
Well,
she was not crying, for sure, but she was just trying to console her husband, I think.
yeah.
She was showing strength. I don't think she was suspicious.
I think you could draw the opposite conclusion based on this. Like, he was the one that was upset. So
yeah.
Why wouldn't he be an obvious candidate for, no, he drugged her up and then...
Right.
Because he's got some medical expertise, as we're about to find out. So I don't know. I feel like this is a miss on Scully's part, or a genuine, they decided to write her that way when the evidence suggests that she's smart enough to know, no, actually, that's a reason he'd be into it too.
Exactly. Yeah. I don't know. Well, no one suspects him yet except for Mulder, and we all know that Mulder's wrong.
That kooky theory of spooky
Kooky theories. Can never be Bruce Campbell. Well, we cut to knocking at a white door.
Nice.
A woman, Betsy, answers. She's a beautiful, short-haired brunette with blue eyes. The man at her door is Wayne Weinsider, who apologizes for forgetting his key. She wonders where he's been, but he says on the road. As he steps into the foyer, the camera shows them from the hall. She turns towards him, very pregnant. He puts down his briefcase and caresses her little bundle of joy. Just what is happening, Andrew?
He's a two-timing demonic bastard.
You son of a bitch.
I know.
I should have known fame would go to your head, Bruce Campbell.
Bruce Campbell, what are you doing?
God damn it. Well, at the Weinsider house, Deputy Stevens is pissed off, pacing the house and yelling. It's come to light that Laura's system showed traces of the mandrake, and she is now under suspicion. Given she is his sister, he's not taking the news too well. He didn't ask the FBI to get involved to arrest his sister. She's no baby killer. Laura admits to taking sleep aids, but Stevens hushes her up, not without a lawyer. Mulder pleads with him to let her talk to maybe clear some things up, but to no avail. Wayne stumbles into the conversation and asks what's going on. Laura fills him in, and Stevens barks at him, asking where he's been while he's been keeping the dogs from the door. Well, a man's got to make a living.
Mm-hmm.
Mulder steps in. He doesn't want to arrest Laura. He's sure that Wayne would hate like the devil for that to happen. Mulder tells him to allow the deputies to search the property and put these issues to bed. Wayne agrees, and the officers begin to mill about. As they and Mulder go outside and poke around the incinerator, Wayne calls Laura to him. He needs to tell her something about the other night, something he's kept secret for good reason. She doesn't understand. Well, on the night she lost the baby, he had gotten up because he couldn't sleep. When he came back to bed, she had the baby in her hands. He claims Laura was in a trance and couldn't wake her up. She chanted over and over, "Zazas nastanada." Laura begins crying at the words, horrified. He sobs as he continues. All he could do was take the little baby boy, little Wayne Jr., and make sure no one could ever know the truth. Just when she thinks the story couldn't possibly get worse, he continues. When she found him outside, burning the leaves, she pieces it together with an emphatic and tearful no. He was just trying to protect her. He couldn't stand the thought of losing her. The two embrace. Outside they hear in the distance an officer yell. They've found something in the incinerator. In the distance we see Mulder and the officers look at the incinerator and then up to the house where the couple are. Later, Laura sits at the kitchen table surrounded by officers. She recounts the events as she knows them. When the doctor told her something was wrong, she supposes all she could think was that the thing inside of her was evil. Maybe she had done something wrong and this was her punishment. She told Wayne everything was going to be okay, but that was a lie. She swears up and down she didn't mean to kill it. She didn't know what she was doing with the herbal meds. Stevens calmly stops her and advises her not to say any more. He's going to read her rights and go down to the station. Mulder, meanwhile, has been eyeing Wayne, who is sitting in the other room in obvious turmoil. As they all leave with Laura, he claims he's going to get her the best attorney. As Mulder passes him to leave, he coldly says, "He knows what you are." Ooh, boy.
And what is that, Mulder?
Bruce Campbell.
It's Bruce Campbell.
Beloved B-movie actor. The chinniest of them all.
I know what they're doing, obviously. They're pitting them against each other, and that's fine. Makes for a good show. But peeling back the layers, like, what does Mulder know? He knows that this guy induced a pregnancy and took the baby, and he's, put it outside. He knows that it's him who's responsible. But I think it's a bit of a stretch to say, I know you're a demon with horns. Like, I don't think there's enough there yet to justify that. That's, I think, a shortcoming.
Well, you're not Mulder. That's obvious in this moment, Andrew. I mean, you
true.
cannot see what he can see.
The superpower is strong with that one.
Yeah. Well, the camera is whipping down the road. Wayne's bright red convertible swerves into frame from a turn. He's driving at incredible speeds while talking on his cell phone. Dangerous. He's talking to Betsy.
Totally fine. It was an analog cell phone, so they work differently.
Cell phones are everywhere in 1998.
Right.
He's talking to Betsy, promising to be there for her, despite being late. After all, he doesn't want to be the kind of guy who isn't there every step of the way. He uses romantic language about their love and what the sonogram represents, and promises to be there in 5 minutes. As he pulls up to a red light, we see Mulder pull alongside his car, much to Wayne's displeasure. Mulder toys with him. "You seem like you're in a hurry." Wayne's frustration is evident as Mulder asks if his insurance job takes him on the road a lot. Then he asks where they're going, implying Mulder is not going to leave him alone. We cut to another house. Miss Britton answers to Wayne. She made an appointment to have some blood taken. Although she's confused, that appointment was for next Tuesday. But Wayne, having to come up with an excuse, says it's never too early and he was in the neighborhood. After all, insurance is something you do not want to be without. Later on, he's drawing her blood, and kids run by playing. Wayne says he loves kids. Got a baby on the way himself. He admires the boys who are now outside. You don't know how lucky you are. 2 cells with all that can go wrong, and then bam, there they are. Perfect. He leans over to put the sample away, and she spots some protuberances on the back of his neck. They look like pockmarks, but she doesn't let her surprise be evident. A horn honks. They look outside to see Mulder leaning on the car, waving. Wayne asks to use the phone. The kids are now playing and terrorizing the convertible to Mulder's delight. Wayne rushes out, demanding they remove themselves. He breezes past Mulder and gets into his car as Mulder gets a call. It's Scully, who has been yelled at by Kirsch. Apparently, Wayne called and said that he's being harassed by Mulder. Mulder tells her to tell him he's doing background checks, and they hang up.
Ooh. Look at you, Mulder, playing the dangerous game. He's going to go in the penalty box again.
He is just toying with this poor Bruce Campbell.
I don't think this is enough to risk your tenuous grasp on a career for. But, I mean, I suppose that's the Mulder way, right?
That's the Mulder way. He doesn't care. He's going to do what he wants.
That's right.
He is, after all, an FBI agent.
For now. I mean, boy.
Well, this is how you get ahead. You attack cases, you win them, you investigate, and you uncover the truth, no matter what.
Even if it's not in your assigned priorities or whatever, your assigned duties.
Absolutely. It's called being a go-getter.
So, 1998, did you ever apply for insurance? You were probably like 3 years old, so I guess not. But
3 years old? I was in 8th grade, sir.
Okay. Do you imagine in that time, if you were applying for what I'm assuming is health insurance, you would have to supply a blood sample?
I don't know how this used to work.
I don't think you ever had to supply a blood sample. And if you did, you would go through your doctor's office, not some dude showing up to take your blood.
I'm sure something like this existed, where these agents would come to your house and help you for convenience, Andrew. I'm not saying I know for a fact, but I would not be surprised. For example, this is much less egregious to me of an idea than the town officials asking people to submit a door-to-door blood test in blood in season 2.
Well, the egregious thing in that was that it was so quick. You know, it's like within, 6 hours, they've got the entire town except for one guy. That might be your problem. I don't know. Mm-hmm. No, it's funny. You know, I hadn't really thought about comparing more modern episodes to older episodes and how far you've come kind of thing. But it doesn't mean they haven't fixed everything. I mean, they got some issues in this one.
We go to the Roanoke County Jail. Wayne goes to see Laura, and she's asked him to come.
Hey, before we go into Roanoke, do you know the history of Roanoke? Like, I don't think it's a coincidence they chose Roanoke as a place, right?
Okay. Lay it on me.
Well, it was lost. It was a lost colony. Nobody knows why it failed. It was one of the first, settlements in the New World. And it failed, and then everybody disappeared.
Probably because of the demon fetal harvest.
Yeah, because of the demon field harvest. I know, but I'm just saying it shows well in terms of where.
I got a message you needed to see me, Laura. What is it?
I'm afraid.
Well, I've been meeting with attorneys, and given the circumstances and your emotional state, they feel confident of an acquittal if that's what you're worried about, Laura.
No, Wayne. I've been thinking.
Thinking? About what?
About your story. About how it doesn't make sense. You said you wrapped the baby up to hide it, but what they found in the fire was wrapped in the nightgown I had on when I woke up from my nightmare.
But that's not possible, Laura. You must be mistaken.
And I keep thinking about the face of that terrible creature at the end of the bed. And I remember something that I didn't tell anybody. Not even you.
Laura, you're scaring me. No matter what you believe, I only have one desire: to protect you, to put this all behind us.
As the two embrace, she takes the opportunity to slowly pull down the collar of his shirt to reveal his neck, bloody teeth marks. Wayne's demeanor immediately changes. Why'd you have to go and do that? I love you, and I wish you could have been the one. He grabs her wrist, and as she struggles, he opens his mouth, inhaling deeply. A stream of misty air comes from her mouth and goes into his as he sucks in. We fade to commercial as he just sucks and sucks. Wide-eyed and sucking open mouth.
Yeah.
It's that time, everyone. The Magus Media Production sales pitch. Please check out our homepage at magusmediaproductions.net so you can stay up to date on all of our shows. Check out our Facebook group, facebook.com/groups/Magus Media Productions, both of which have our Discord link on it, where you can join us for live shows as we record them for future release. At Magus Media Prods on X, our Patreon, patreon.com/Magus Media, where a $5 donation will help us keep the lights on and bringing you new content, and you get some stickers. Thank you for your consideration and support. So we get to see him do something now.
Yeah.
He's doing demon things.
We see his superpower. So this is him sucking the life force out of somebody. That's one thing he can do.
It's one of the fun things he can do.
Okay. I'm there. I'm totally got no problem.
You don't have issue with that, do you?
Nope, not at all. Not at all. It's magic, Mike.
Oh,
just
boy.
magic.
Here comes Andrew. Okay, so we come back. EMTs are trying to help Laura. They're doing compressions as Wayne waits nearby, a look of horror as he grabs the chain link cage on her cell. Stevens and Mulder show up. As the men work, they charge the paddles and jolt her a couple times. It was like she died right in my arms. As they defib her one more time, they announce there's a rhythm, and even with Wayne's acting capabilities, he can barely mask his concern. He was not expecting that.
That's a nice reveal there, and Mulder sees it.
Stevens goes to his sister as they prepare to get her to the hospital. Wayne exchanges looks with Mulder. Oh, man.
Oh, no, he's going to get it.
That night, Wayne finally arrives at Betsy's house. He zips into the garage with his convertible, ducks under the garage door, and runs to the front door. She's, of course, waiting for him on the couch with a magazine. That was a long 5 minutes. She doesn't want to hear his excuses, but she is quick to cool. He asks about the sonogram with hope. She brings it out. Are there any problems? Well, the doctor did find something. Wayne's face turns to defeat as Betsy describes the situation, which bears great resemblance to what he just went through with Laura. Small, bony growths. The doctor just wants to wait and see. As he pouts, he sits on the couch. Whatever happens, just know that I love you, he says. He offers to get her a glass of warm milk and tuck her into bed.
That bastard, he's going to do it again.
He's going to do it again.
And really, warm milk is the culprit, right? I mean,
it is. It is. We should have pegged it from the beginning.
Yeah.
He gave her the drink.
It was the milk.
What a bastard.
That was the problem.
Yep. Well, back at the hospital, Scully arrives.
Mulder, you asked me to come down here, and then you're nowhere to be found.
Just down in the basement of county records doing a background check.
Mulder, it's me. That's your cover story, remember?
That's where I was. I was piecing together the history of the man that did this to her.
Well, that's why I was looking for you, because in fact nobody did anything to her. Well, there's absolutely no evidence of bodily injury, of overdose, of suffocation, of anything that would explain why she was in a coma.
Perfect.
No, Mulder, I don't think you heard what I said.
Okay.
I did a complete medical review just as you asked. What I'm saying is that there is not a shred of evidence to implicate the husband or anyone.
Not a shred of evidence is exactly the evidence I'd hope you'd find. Check this out.
Ivan Velez, born Czechoslovakia, 1956. Married twice, widowed twice, no children. Prosecuted twice for murder of wives Giselle and Helga. Acquitted twice on lack of evidence. Who is Ivan Velez?
Wayne Weinsider. He's a Czech national, immigrated 1994. He's also known as Bud Hasselhoff, also known as Gordy Boitano.
Gordy Boitano.
There's more, read on.
In Slavic societies, the name Velez is synonymous with the devil. From the Lithuanian root vele, a horned demon who sucks the souls of the innocent. Mulder, you're not suggesting that he is himself a devil, are you?
I'm not suggesting anything. I think the facts speak for themselves.
Mulder, I will accept that a man can be demonic, that he may have demon-like attributes. But why would a demon, if there were such a thing, bother with a 9-to-5 make room for daddy routine just so he can off his wife and unborn child?
I don't know why. I'm not a psychologist, but this is the best explanation for how that I've heard.
Back at Betsy's house, Wayne prepares the milk on the stove and pours it into a glass cup. As he approaches the camera by the stairs, we see the cup glowing with a greenish hue. He sits on Betsy's side of the bed and offers it to her. She gladly accepts. At the Weinsider's yard, there is an excavation team. They're using ground-penetrating radar. As seen in such acclaimed films as Jurassic Park, they send shockwaves down into the ground and see if objects bounce the images back. The agents get out of their car, having just arrived. Stevens informs them what they're doing, mapping the terrain. Just then, someone finds something. Mulder tells them what they're going to find, deformities on the upper vertebrae and on the lobes of the skull. Sure enough, as they dig, they find baby infant remains with a demonic formation on its skull. Stevens can't believe his eyes. Mulder tells him to put out an APB, find Wayne. He tells Scully he's done this before. His guess is the baby belongs to one of his other wives. He's trying to breed using his biological imperative. But it doesn't make sense, she says. Why kill them if he wants babies? Because he wants what he can't have, a perfect human baby. Back at Betsy's, she's fast asleep. It's quiet. Suddenly, the orange flames engulf the room. The demon wakes her up, yanking her legs down to the foot of the bed, much like Laura. She calls out for Wayne. The demon continues digging at her. Again, she screams his name. Then finally, she grabs the demon's throat. Maybe you didn't hear me. She yanks him forward. His demonic presence is back to human. What are you doing, Wayne?
What a great turn.
That's a good turn.
I gather that David Amann sat with the other big producers, Vince Gilligan, Frank Spotnitz, John Shaban, and basically they helped him flesh it out. You know, they did the storyboarding and all the rest of it. But it might have been Chris Carter, I think, who came up with the idea of the big reveal or reversal in this act. You know, Betsy isn't exactly the innocent victim. She's going to have another story element in here.
It's good stuff.
It is good stuff. But
so what did Andrew think when that first happened?
I liked it.
It's a little jarring.
It's jarring. I mean, they do this well in the show in that it's a very old trick where, especially, it's more effective if you do it 3 times, right? The first time sets it up. This is the trope of how a death or a violent thing is going to happen. And then the second time it warms up and you're like, you know what's going to happen. So your body is primed. It's like, oh, damn, this thing is going to happen again. Not Betsy. We like Betsy. But then they bait and switch you with a reversal. Like, no, it doesn't happen that way. In fact, the look on Wayne's face when she grabs him is so confused. Like, what the hell?
What the hell?
It's very good. I did like it.
Yeah. Out on the highway, the agents drive. Mulder's tracking down his address. His employer has another address for Wayne across town. He surmises Wayne came to this country for the bigger gene pool and more women. Plant as many seeds as he can. In a moment, a car heading the other direction honks at them and almost runs them off the road. They all stop. It's Wayne's convertible, and Betsy gets out. She's in her nightgown. It's soaked in blood as she begs the agents for help. We quick cut to her house as the agents rush in with officers. They enter the house with their flashlights and guns drawn. It's dark and appears empty. As they go from room to room, they clear them. Mulder then notices someone in the backyard. It's Wayne. Outside, he's digging furiously with his shovel. When the agents approach him, he's talking. A normal life, that's all he ever wanted. Tears stream down his face. They hold him at gunpoint to drop the shovel. Your lies won't work anymore, Mulder says. What about her lies? Wayne asks as he continues digging. He's not burying anything, he's digging it up. Mulder asks where the baby is, and Wayne barks at him. She took it. As Wayne begins to describe just who Betsy is, 3 shots ring out, striking him center mass. It's Archie Stevens. They all rush to Wayne's side as he lie helpless on the ground. I just wanted what everyone wants. Back at the hospital, Laura lay in a coma. Wayne is brought in and hooked up next to her after his surgery. Stevens demands he be anywhere but near his sister, but Mulder escorts him from the room. He's already in a heap of trouble. For murder, no less.
Attempted murder.
Well, attempted murder at this point, but
although he
he's
is a
probably
police
going to
officer,
jail.
so that's really a slap on the wrist.
Yeah, do 5 push-ups. You're done.
That's right. Yeah, you get a week off with pay.
So Mulder escorts him out. They go to talk to his other wife. Wayne is left, heart monitor beeping, and a steady but faster pace. He looks at Laura and closes his eyes. Gripping the sheets, he begins to convulse violently. Obviously, they wanted some good Evil Dead action out of Campbell before they let him off set. When the convulsing stops, we see the stream of life exit Wayne's mouth and enter Laura, literally breathing new life into her. Wayne's monitor beeps faster and then flatlines. Laura wakes up. Nurses scurry about the room to help both of them. The next day, Scully is in the yard brushing dirt off yet another skeleton. The yard is like a piece of graph paper, yellow stringed grids identifying dig locations for at least 4 other infant skeletons. Likely, more will be found. The strange thing is, none of them have any deformities. She asks Mulder what he thinks Wayne did with the baby, but Mulder doesn't think he had anything to do with this one. He posits the idea that Betsy took it. These weren't Wayne's babies. They're other men. Wayne realized that he met someone more evil than he was, who would sacrifice what he'd so desperately wanted for himself. She ran into them on purpose to sell the story. A woman that would say and do anything she wanted to get what she wanted. We cut to Wayne's convertible. Garbage's I'm Only Happy When It Rains playing over the scene. Betsy speeds down the highway with the bassinet in the passenger seat, obviously not safe at all. She smiles at the demon baby, whose pockmarked and clawed hand emerges from the basket. A demonic squeal is heard as she turns her attention back to the road. She continues smiling, blinks to demonic irises, and speeds off. Pour your misery down on me. The end.
The end.
Andrew. I'm sensing distaste.
Well, I mean, I'll hand it to David, man. He is creative. He came up with a nice first outing. Clearly, he got some pointers to make it into a more interesting episode. But there's a couple of points in that last bit there. I'm not in love with the coincidence meeting between Mulder, Scully, and Betsy. You know, the practically colliding in the road. To make that work,
have my issues with that.
To make that work, they needed a meeting between Mulder and Betsy, I think. And, you know, if anything, you could even use that moment as a way to bring us into the idea that maybe not everything is normal about Betsy. And I don't know what you get rid of. There are probably some bits and pieces you don't need in this particular episode, but the just random, it's a woman who's had her baby torn out of her and it's Wayne's other wife. It's so improbable. And later on they try and justify it when Mulder says, you know, there's no coincidence about Betsy meeting us, you know,
running into her.
She played us, you know, and I just like, no, she didn't know you existed. You know, I don't buy that.
Right.
Nothing in the plot that suggested that happened. So I think that was a shortcut to get us from here to there.
They needed to have at least given Betsy reason to know they existed.
Yeah.
Before this, just a tidbit of information, something to clue her in that the FBI were on to Wayne for this to really work. My other big problem is, what the hell did she do with that baby? Because so she stops Wayne.
Yeah.
They have an argument or something. She takes the baby that Wayne has extracted from her. What does she do to Wayne? She just convinces him to stay home? Or
apparently
she takes the baby, leaves it somewhere, goes to meet the agents who she miraculously knows are there, she stashed the baby somewhere because they hint that they take her to the hospital. And that's another thing. We don't know exactly. So we're left to either think that, well, the agents took her to the hospital or they had EMTs come get her.
Yeah.
Either way, she's at the hospital, but we don't get that answer.
And then she's fine, but she's a demon.
And then she's fine and has the demon baby at the end.
Yeah.
So it's like, where did this baby go and for how long?
Well,
she just
Mike, it's a demon
stashed
baby.
it next to a tree.
It's a demon baby. It can fend for itself. I have no problem with that.
Maybe that's believable. That's fine.
I mean, the whole nature of this creature, what Wayne and Betsy and now Damon Baby really are, like their abilities, what they can do, it's surprising from time to time. It's like suddenly, oh, you can just suck the life out of people. Okay, that's cool. I originally thought that at the very end, when you see Bruce Campbell breathing this essence out and into his wife number one, that he was now possessing her body, that he was transmitting his life force into her. I now get that this is an act of sacrifice that is going to let her survive. And that's a bit more redeemable to have that. Yeah. Not at all clear in the moment, though, because I was like, oh, this is power number 3 out of nowhere. He's just going to keep on going, because this is a classic problem of the writers who just love their villains too much and can't let them go. So they're going to have a denouement within a denouement. But then when we have Betsy at the end, I realized, oh, that's the villain the writer wants to keep. And we're okay with giving Wayne the noble out. So it wasn't about transferring his essence, it's about giving back the essence to the wife. So
yeah. So you don't like this episode, huh?
I don't really like this. Do you want my final thoughts on this episode?
Let's hear it. Sounds like you're.
I'm winding up into them, that's for sure. Mike, The X-Files as a series is always on the shakiest of ground when they enter into religious territory, and they're definitely shaking in this episode. Demons, the enemies of angels, have their own powers which defy explanation. And as much as I really do love Bruce Campbell's turn in this episode, I mean, all the supporting cast are great, really, the powers of the demon are magical, meaning there's no way to stop them. The agents do some quality investigating, staying just one step behind the villains. You could argue that they foil the dastardly plot of Wayne inseminating multiple women to get a normal baby and killing off the babies that are going to be demons, except that for his profession, Mike, there is a desperately obvious plot hole here. He's got medical expertise, perhaps multiple lifetimes worth. He would know that you could easily slip some morning after pills into the warm milk instead of this witch's brew, and it would be much more easily explained. For a creature who wants to stay hidden, he sure found a noisy way to exist.
Oh. So he's not smart enough for you. Andrew.
He is not smart enough for me. And they kind of present him as smart to a point.
Yeah, okay. I buy that. I think it's a noble and legitimate complaint.
Okay, I appreciate your honoring my efforts. Yeah.
It is not without merit, sir. I have deemed it merit.
The court has not overturned your objection.
No.
Okay. All right.
I'm good.
What about you, Mike? What are your final thoughts on this episode?
I am, I guess, predictably in enjoyment with this episode. I think it's pretty fun. I think for what it is, aside from the plot hole that I think at the end where she runs into the agents, which we've already discussed, and my problem with where the hell did she hide the baby?
Yeah.
And for how long? I think it hangs together pretty well. It's a nice short little romp. It's not overly humorous. It's not overly serious. It's kind of in between, but the story itself is succinct and pretty straightforward. It was fun. A good episode.
So despite
not my favorite, not on my must-sees, but it works for me. I don't think anything in this episode destroys it.
It's no Ghost in the Machine. It's no space.
No. I think this one is just fine. It's fun. It's enjoyable always to see Bruce Campbell. Mm-hmm. I don't get lost in that, but I do think that overall the episode is very watchable.
Okay. Well, as usual, we find
Disagree.
things on either side of the fence, good people on both sides.
Well, and I do think there are things that perhaps you can be a little harsh when it comes to things like demons.
Yes.
He's obviously very vulnerable in terms of he can be shot and he's going to die, most likely.
Sorry, he took 3 shots center mass with what appeared to be a pretty big revolver, but he's still
It doesn't mean you can't. Humans can live with that. It can be done, sir.
Yep, fair.
He is fallible. He's not impervious to death or anything. So the idea of them bringing a demon, quote unquote, into the story isn't necessarily religious or all-consuming. I think it's very possible that it hints at another world, and they're just as frail as we are.
So maybe not necessarily demons per se, but
maybe
a creature that
of
hides
sorts
among humans that is not human. Well, I would buy that a lot more. A Eugene Toombs style of mutant with some kind of soul-sucking ability. But
thankfully, they don't go into like religious scripture.
Oh yeah,
that explains this existence.
Because then you'd have
because that would go a lot.
You'd have to drag Scully in to arbitrate,
and then she'd have to sacrifice another baby she didn't have,
and there would be tears and be a whole thing.
A lot of tears. A lot of tears. Okay. Well, hey. So we have differing opinions. Not the end of the world. This show is predicated on that.
They love our witty banter.
They do. I just imagine the smiles when we start disagreeing with each other.
It's an inevitable, here we go.
Here we go.
Here we go.
Get the coffee. All right. Well, that's the episode. Do we have any comments?
We don't have any comments. We
don't.
Did this on the QT because I'm going away and we got to get some in, or else you're going to be sitting there twiddling your thumbs when Sunday comes going, if only we had recorded again before Andrew left.
Yeah. God damn it.
Damn it.
Well, hey, that's okay. It's okay. It's a middling episode. We don't expect comments for each one. So
nope, it's true.
Andrew, I think we're done with this episode. If you have anything you'd like to say, please do so.
Lovely listeners, thanks for bearing with us through this one. Terms of Endearment, not my fave, definitely Mike's fave, and he would watch it again and again. So put it on repeat. Let yourself listen to it. Let yourself get drawn in. Imagine Bruce Campbell in his other roles when you watch him in this one.
Bruce. I'm glad he finally got a successful TV show in Burn Notice. Because goddamn, he put a lot of effort into TV shows that didn't pan out.
It's not his fault.
It's not his fault. No, it's not.
Show just wasn't written well, didn't hit the right audience, mismanaged, whatever, didn't click.
Well, he got Burn Notice, and that's a fantastic show. So,
well, he had so much experience with fire in terms of Endearment, hey?
Tisk. So he was used to the heat in Miami then. Oh, boy. All right. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to today's episode. If you liked what you heard, please rate and review on your podcast app of choice. Andrew and I would be eternally grateful to you fine people for helping us expand and get the word out. Also, we've got a killer group on Facebook. Feel free to join in on the discussion at facebook.com/groups/thisisnothappeningpod and become an official member of the syndicate. We do polls and we have questions for every episode to give you guys the opportunity to chime in and possibly let your voice be heard on our recordings. And please join us on our new Twitter at tinhxfilespod, no dash, to stay up to date on everything, moment to moment. Thank you, and remember, don't stop swimming.